Bye.
Hi, besties.
Hi.
Guys, we're back. We're back.
Finally.
Finally.
That took us forever.
It's just been rough, a month and a half?
Right.
Yeah.
You were gone, and we had vacations, and then I was sick, and then I was really sick.
Then we did a little break and revisited how we wanted to post.
Right. Well, we wanted
And-
the schedule to be...
Yes. So we kind of already scheduled out the books that we want to read. They're not like set in stone, like if things need to get moved around, they will. But we at least have like a good idea of what we want to do. I feel like maybe we can post the books
That's
that
what
we
I'm
plan
thinking.
on
I think I'll
reading.
make just like a little infographic for at least like the next several weeks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just
Keep
bearing
that there.
anything
Yeah.
changes later,
Yeah.
but like the next like 2 or 3 books.
Yeah.
Make a little infographic, put it out in case anybody wants to read along.
And to not put ourselves through hell,
Yeah.
we decided to read a book every other week instead of covering a book every week because we already have enough on our plate.
Right, because like it doesn't sound crazy to read a book a week and then talk about it because like most of us are reading a book a week as it is.
Right.
But we're not. I don't think any of us know how to just read the pod book every week because then we'd only be reading the pod books every week.
And
Yeah.
all the
And there are so many other books that we want to read. And like that's not to say that like we don't want to read these
Right,
books we're doing
right,
for
right.
the pod. We just have so many books we want to read. And like specifically me, like I can read probably 2 to 3 books a week. But that's on top of that's pod books, books I want to read, our book club books, my traveling book club books. Like it gets overwhelming really quickly, and we spend a lot of time reading day of,
Yeah.
especially me reading day of, being like, oh crap, we're filming tonight.
Yeah.
Maybe I should read the book.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I just got really overwhelming.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I think this will work better. I loved
Yes.
this book.
Me too.
I'm really excited for the next book too. I like was looking at our schedule and I'm like, I'm really excited
Yeah.
for these next several books. I
Yeah.
think it's gonna be good.
Yeah.
I think it's gonna be fun.
Yes.
So
I think we did pretty good.
Yeah.
yeah.
Like the layout.
Oh
like
yeah.
What books we picked.
I agree.
In between, we'll still be posting every week,
Absolutely.
but
You can't get rid of us
you
again.
get a book talk. We'll just do a chat
Yeah.
in between.
Because we've read so
the
much,
book
we have so much to
we
say.
cover.
Yeah.
Like,
Or we'll talk about theories.
Yeah.
Or
like while we were sitting here before we're filming, we've talked about what 3 other books.
yeah.
Like
Yes.
just like I can talk books for hours,
I will talk about Throne of Glass for a whole episode.
dude. I'm
We should
gonna.
make an honorable mention about Just for the Summer for our next episode.
Oh, I
Yeah.
think we should next week. To
I'll
chat.
talk about that book any day.
It was
Yes.
so good.
Yes.
Oh, it was so good.
The book we read this week,
I don't even have it on my.
A
I've
Good
thrown
Girl's
of
Guide
glass
to Murder.
A Good Girl's Guide to Murder,
by Holly
Jackson.
I ate that
I thought you
up.
said Polly, and I was so confused.
We have
Holly
we have tea.
with tea.
For the tea that they drank at the end, her and Becca, the one that she roofied.
That was crazy. I didn't
don't have
roofie
roofies.
any of your tea.
She did ask, and I said no.
Yeah, I said, do you have any roofies?
Do you carry Rohypnol? Do you keep that literally in stock?
Is it just in your medicine cabinet? Or
They have a lot of stuff in that medicine
I
cabinet.
do, but rupees are not one of them.
Rats.
rats?
God, this book, you can ask Alanis. Alanis has been asking us to read this book for a long time.
Yeah.
And I kept being like, I'm just not really, like, I've read some YA, but it's just not my favorite, and so given the option, I would skip it. Like, YA is so hit or miss for me, I don't really know, whatever. And Alanis, after she read it, she was like, read the book. Like, it's really good. And I was like, yeah, sure, Jan, whatever.
Yeah.
Sure. Off the rip, it had me. It got me. I did not, like, I've talked about it before, the beginning of a book, if the beginning of a book can hook me in, then I will likely rate that book better than I would have even if it were the exact same book, but it had a like a slower intro.
Yeah.
If you can hook me in the beginning, like Just for the Summer did,
Yes.
if you can hook me in the beginning, you're starting out at 3.5 stars.
Yeah.
Because that is like a feat in and of itself.
Yep.
And I loved that.
Yeah.
Like, I loved the way it went back and forth in like regular paragraph style and then her interview style,
Yes.
because it keeps you so interested.
yeah.
Like, she did a good job with this one. She did a good job.
I'm gonna say my favorite things about this book were the way that she set up the perspectives.
Yes.
It really, really intrigued me the way that she did third person in like a normal setting, and then she used first person whenever Pip was making her interviews or writing and typing up stuff. And I was like, that is just so like, I don't know, it's neat. Like, you don't really see people jump that kind of perspective.
Right.
Like, you see them jump perspective between two different people.
Sure.
But never within the same person in just
Right.
different ways. And that really blew me away in and of itself. But that, and then just overall the use of the documents and the transcripts.
Keeps
And
you interested.
yes, and it was just so cool that like, I was like, oh, I hope that she's not just having like a conversation. Like, I hope
Yeah.
that it turns into like the transcript of her
Yes,
typing up.
give me
Yeah.
the
I
transcript.
love that because it just does. It cuts the chase straight to
It
their
gives
dialogue.
you the straight dialogue,
Exactly.
and like that will push me through a book every time.
Yep.
It's why like I love like texts in books or emails in books, or like it to get just dialogue, even just for a couple pages, will power you through when you feel like you're kind of like, maybe I'll put it down and like go do something else right now. And then you get to just like the meat of the dialogue and you're like, oh, I'm back. Never mind.
And it
Yeah.
feels personable too.
It
Yes,
does.
yes.
I loved that. I really, really liked it.
Just gave such like a Nancy Drew like
It did.
It
little
was
like
so
mystery vibe. I
fun.
love it.
And what you were saying, like before I started reading this, I love that she, like, you're kind of like with her, like in pace of like, because she's like solving this mystery too. So every time, like,
Yes.
I would think of like, oh, I wonder if this. She would say, oh, I wonder if this, or she would be like, this, and this, and then I'd be like, oh yeah, you're totally right, Pippa.
Right.
And then it's like almost like you're kind of with her this whole time, trying to solve this case. Obviously, she solves it better because she's in the book, but
It was literally like when I was texting Alanis my theories, I was like, oddly enough, really weird, I don't know how it happened, Pip and I have a lot of the same theories. I don't know
Oddly
who's
enough.
copying whose work,
Yeah.
but I will say they're similar.
yeah.
I like that she wasn't like wrong, but she also had wrong moments, if that makes sense. Like, she
Yeah.
wasn't like wrong overall, but like you could see where she was leaning, but also didn't like full force just go with it.
Yeah.
Like, she was like, okay, I have to make sure this is the right answer. I have to make sure like I'm getting enough like
Yeah.
of the correct stuff here.
It was like everybody on her hit list was guilty in some way, shape, or form.
Right, right.
Yes.
Minus Sal, obviously.
Yeah.
But like everybody that was involved in the case, and even everybody on her, the only one that she took out was Naomi, and even she was guilty in some way.
Yeah.
But everybody that she had suspected was guilty in some way, whether it was directly or indirectly.
And one thing that I do think is interesting, just because it's kind of like the natural humanity and reality of it all, is that we didn't get all the questions answered at the
No.
end.
Right.
Like, we're still not certain of everything. Like, we still don't understand why, I can't remember his name, but the reporter was like going and seeing Howie, and like
Yes.
he like met up with him, and Max was still meeting up with him, but we don't know where Max was continuing to go, and Howie was denying knowing Max very well. I think maybe because he knew, like, if he was supplying him with Rohypnol, maybe he didn't want that directly traced. I don't know. But, like, there were just still some loose ends in the end, which just kind of feels like that's how it goes. Like,
Right.
you get some answers, but you don't get them all. I was reading this book at night, and I was like, oh, this is fun. We're basically just like re-interviewing, we're talking to people, it's all daytime, good vibes, nothing too worrisome yet. She's just checking in on things. And then they were in the park for Kara's birthday. and she saw the light in the woods, and I was like, absolutely not. Absolutely not. Why am I scared?
I was listening to like murder mystery music, so it was like, I was like, no,
Stop. I actually can't do this. I won't do. I literally, because Lacey's been reading like thrillers and mysteries and stuff like that. I was like, Lacey. And she came in and she was like, what do you want? And I was like, how are you reading thrillers and mysteries? She was like, because they're so fun. Are you reading a thriller and a mystery? Are you getting scared? Is something crazy going on? And I was like, someone's outside. And she was like,
you just said they're camping.
literally, I said, they're outside at nighttime. And she was like, and then what? I was like, nothing. She just thinks somebody might be in the woods. And she was like, okay. I'm really sorry for what you're going through. It sounds really tough, and I hope you make it. And I was like, thanks.
The way I told Jordan 2 days ago, I think it would low-key be fun to go camping, like really like camping, like just a tent, build your own fire. Like I just think that'd be so fun. Never mind. And he was like, Haley, there's animals in the woods, there's bugs, you have to sleep on the ground. And I was like, it'd be fun.
Fat effing trans.
Not anymore.
I'll do it with you, Haley.
Well, now I'm scared.
But nobody's following us into the woods, Haley.
Right.
You literally don't know.
I know.
What if they are?
They're not.
You don't. How do you know?
Pippa didn't know.
Because
Pippa didn't know.
Pippa was going into things she shouldn't have been going into.
You're right.
Should people following
That
her?
begs the question, though. Was it,
Oh, we were
So,
talking about this.
we just-
Who was in the woods?
discussed
Okay.
it. Yeah.
We were figuring out, and I think that means it was Elliot in the woods because that first note was the printer paper that he was printing out,
Yes.
Right.
which means that it was him.
Also, it was his daughter's birthday, and that's where they
So he
went.
would have
So he
known
would've
that they were in the
were.
woods.
Yeah.
But I'm like, how do you first of all, how do you live with yourself with the whole thing, obviously?
right.
But how do you live with yourself being out there scaring the absolute shit out of your daughter, your 18-year-old daughter, and all of her friends that are camping in the woods for her birthday?
Yeah.
And you have terrified them. Like, how do you feel good about that?
Yeah.
And I'm sure he didn't feel good. He was only doing what, like, he thought was literally necessary for his survival, I guess.
Yeah.
But, like, I don't know, choke.
Yeah.
That was...
None of them took it seriously, did they?
The guys did. Like, they were running out there.
But the girls were like, you guys are just messing with us. And then they were like, no.
No, the girls went and started running out because the guys, everybody left.
Connor was the only one that was like, because he's the one who ran out and was like, hey, pervert, like, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
And they were like, Connor, what are you doing? And then the guys went, and then the two girls stayed back and they screamed, and they were like, why are you screaming? And they were like, we're drunk and we're scared. But that was it. Like,
Because then they zipped up the canopy and, like,
yeah.
went to bed.
yeah, they came back and, like, I remember they said everybody was quiet and, like, nobody
They
said
were like, well,
anything.
that was the end of that. Let's go to bed.
Yeah.
Which, same. No, not same. I would have left.
I would have left the campsite.
Like, I don't...
And she found a note in her sleeping bag, right?
Yeah. She confronted the boys about it because she was like, you think this is
That's
funny?
right. That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they
Thought
were
that
like,
it was them.
we don't know
Yeah,
what you're
yeah,
talking about. Yeah.
Yeah. I've said this before, and I'll say it again. I don't understand why people do unnecessary things that they don't want to do.
Yeah.
Or things that, like, unnecessary things that, like, make them feel unsafe or make them anxious. I will simply not do it. I don't need to ruin anyone else's fun. I'm not here to ruin your night or ruin... No. But if that just happened, if you guys still feel safe and cool, fine. I wouldn't leave one person alone, but there's 5 of you.
Yeah.
You'll be fine. I'm leaving.
My house is right there.
I'm getting in a car and I'm driving away.
Yeah.
You're crazy for staying.
Yeah.
You couldn't pay me to stay.
Especially the fact that it's in the same woods that somebody was murdered.
Literally.
Possibly 2 people were murdered, like, because they didn't know at the time
Yeah.
about Andy. So.
Yeah, bye. You've lost your ever-loving mind.
I'm gobsmacked. If like as they say in English.
You've just lost it.
I think I used that correct.
You did.
Correct.
Gobsmacked? Absolutely.
Yeah.
You used it right.
You used it correctly. She's going to flame me for your accent now, that's insane.
I'm gobsmacked.
I was absolutely gutted. I was absolutely gutted.
Absolutely gutted.
So we have Pip, who looks
Pip
into
Cheerio.
this.
Pip, pip.
Hooray!
You solved the murder. You solved the murder. Anyways, what do you say?
You were wrong.
You were wrong.
Anyway,
Not me. Not Hermione. You.
I'm so upset at myself because I'm literally listening to Harry Potter and I got that wrong.
You got what wrong?
I got the quote wrong.
Oh, just now?
Yeah.
Yeah, I wasn't gonna say anything. I was gonna let you live.
that's
Yeah.
okay.
I outed myself. It's fine.
Yeah, that's okay.
What were you saying?
Well, sure.
Hey, sure, Pipper.
Pip, so Pippa.
Hey, Pippi.
Pippa was writing a report. What do they call it?
The capstone project.
Capstone project. She was writing a capstone project.
Basically,
for
like her senior project.
On the cold case that is Andy Bell.
The murder of Andy Bell.
Yes. And she recruited Ravi, who is
Ravi sings.
Sal's brother.
Younger
His
brother.
younger brother. He's like only a year or two older than
Yeah, it was like a couple years.
Yeah.
I think he was
'Cause he was
23.
already.
No, he was 20.
He was
Yeah, I thought
20.
they said Sal was.
Sal was
would
supposed to
have been
be- yeah.
23.
Yeah,
That's
and
what it was.
Ravi was only 20. And
I
Cassie
remember
like
he was
17.
only like a year or two older than her.
Okay.
They were very close in age.
Yeah.
Because she said she remembered him from school, whatnot. But so she gets Robbie. Robbie's obviously not super like inclined to help because he's like, well,
He's like, oh,
everybody hates me.
right. He's like, you want to reopen the murder that everyone thinks my dead brother did, and we've been literal social pariahs in this town because
Yeah.
of
Yeah.
because my brother was the presumed murderer. Right. That sounds super fun and not at all hard.
Yeah.
Then we get Pip digging into some stuff. She uncovers other things that are going on and not just
Yeah.
with Andy. She realizes Andy was actually a really horrible person. And uncovers things about Max and kind of like their friend group. The way that Naomi and all her friends lied about
That was
Sal
crazy.
being there. That was kind of crazy.
Also, the fact that everything like unraveled pretty quickly and crazily
Yeah.
because like she was like, because she was only convicted by the fact that like anytime she interacted with Sal, it was always really good, and she claimed that he was kind of like her hero in like a cute little way because
was
he was always so
sweet.
kind.
Yeah.
And she was like, literally, like, my only goal here is just to prove that she even said at the beginning, like, I don't need to find out who the murderer is. I just need to prove that Sal didn't do it.
Yeah.
But then,
yeah,
like,
yeah.
so many things unfolded to where it wasn't just about Sal anymore.
I remember her getting the email back from her professor or her teacher or whatever. That was like, you literally cannot have any communication with the
That was
parent or
the
families.
very beginning, the first thing where she submitted, like, this is what my capstone project's going to be about. And they were like, please tread carefully. I guess you can do this, but you need to tread very lightly, and you cannot interview anyone on either side of the families. And the first thing she did was she went, hi, Ravi Singh. I'm Pip. Can I interview you?
About your dead brother?
I said, Pip, you've ignored all signs of caution.
Yeah.
And then at the end, she was like, "Hi, they've given me this entire auditorium an opportunity to speak out about my awesome capstone project. But the first thing I'd like to say is I should be disqualified.
Yeah.
Anyway, here's what I did." And I was like, "What?
Yeah.
Why did you say that? If they were ignoring it, maybe you should not even bring it up.
Right.
Maybe not. Don't even."
Yeah.
Irritated me. I was like, Pip, what if you were quiet?
And she did I mean, she dug pretty deep, and
She dug.
She really
Dude.
messed with some people.
Catfishing some people.
When she started catfishing the girls, I was like, I'm anxious.
Yeah.
And then she broke into the freaking Belle's house. And I was like,
Right.
I'm going to shit in my panties.
Yeah.
And she had Ravi go with her to break into the Belle house. I said, Ravi is shitted his panties.
Yeah.
No one is doing well.
No.
We're so anxious.
Yeah.
Why did you break it? And then when she was just sitting in the parking lot while Howie was doing his wheeling and dealing, I was like,
Yeah.
I am going to pass out.
Yeah.
That was scary.
Yeah.
Literally just her in the same parking lot. I was like, I know she's in her car. I know that if he saw her and wanted to do something, she'd just drive away.
Right.
He couldn't get her with his mitts. But
Yeah.
I was like, people are just walking behind your car. Anyone could see you.
Yeah.
I was so
Yeah.
The way that she
Anxious.
walked up to Howie's house and went,
She said,
Ravi was there, but
hi, drug dealer, I'd have some questions.
and he
Also,
was like,
I have pictures of you, so
Hi,
answer
here's
them.
my blackmail. We're
Yeah.
going to talk now.
yeah,
The gall and the gumption
The gall and the
are
gumption.
crazy.
Exactly.
oh, just that she just like knocked on his door and was like, I have questions for you, and this is your blackmail. And the way that she just like, sure, Ravi was there, but Ravi's also 20 years old, probably not jacked, and
Surely not in the freaking
probably
trailer.
the drug dealer probably isn't jacked either, and he had a
does
couple
too
beers,
many
but he
drugs.
had a couple beers, so like,
Angry. They would
on
just
edge.
be
Also,
swinging
the things that
limbs.
she was,
Like coming to him with?
yeah,
Yeah.
like coming at him and
Yeah.
being, like accusing him of.
yeah,
Like,
I was like, whoa, Pitt.
I was like,
Whoa.
Especially
like,
when
"Pit,
he-
baby, it ain't that serious.
when he got behind them and then locked the door and was like, you're not going anywhere. I was like,
"Mm, like hell, I'll go somewhere.
but then he was like, delete the pictures, and I was like, okay, just delete the pictures.
And literally, I was
In the
waiting.
back of my head, I was like, they're gonna be in her
I was
recovery.
waiting for him to say, okay, now take them out of your recently deleted. But he didn't. And I was
Yeah,
like,
but I also think she made it seem like he was like not older, but like older.
Older.
and
to where
also
he
this
wouldn't,
book was
know.
written in, what, 2015?
Was it?
I thought it was written.
I don't know. Maybe a book I read recently was 2015 that I thought
I
was
thought
new.
it came out within like 2020-ish.
Maybe. You might be right. I look up so many books on a given daily basis that I couldn't tell you.
I assumed it was new because also they talked about the Find My Friends feature, the location.
Yeah.
I thought that was very smart of them.
The
way I had-
2020.
The way I had so
Wow.
many different theories
money then.
throughout this, my original thought was like going into this as we like started learning a little bit, especially after we learned that Andy was like not a great person. I was like,
Yeah.
I was like, Andy is not dead. Like I was so for sure this
I
whole
was
time.
so sure
I
she
was
wasn't
so
dead.
sure she wasn't dead this whole time. And nothing. That was the one thing that I like, because a lot of my theories changed throughout as like
Yes.
we learned more information. I was like, oh, okay, so this is. But the one
That was the one
the
thing.
one thing I was like, Andy is not dead.
No shot.
And the one that I held on to for a hot minute, but let go later on, was I thought that Andy did it all. Like I thought Andy, like ran away for some
Killed
reason,
Sal.
killed Sal, and made
Right.
it seem like Sal killed her, and now she's off and gone doing her own thing for
Right.
some reason. That's what I thought for a hot minute. But then after we learned some evidence, I was like, okay, she's not. I don't think that's it. But
I thought that for a
especially
while
after they
too.
found
Yeah.
the girl in Ward's house, I was like, there she is. I knew it. She wasn't dead. But then she was like, that's not Andy. And I was like, what do you mean?
So I had a ton of theories, but specifically on that, once we got to that part where they found the girl in the attic, I thought it was going to have something to do with, they said that like Nat De Silva and Becca, now that she's older, both looked like markedly similar to Andy. So I thought there was going to be some sort of like switcheroo
Yep.
situation, and like the girl in the attic is actually Nat De Silva, and Nat De Silva and her buzzed head
Yeah.
is actually Andy, and you just can't tell because you know what I mean. Like I thought it was going to be something like that.
I thought that with the sisters, like I put in there, like immediately I was, when she noticed like like her facial features were a little different, I thought it was the sister, and I thought they switched.
Right.
Because they talked about like the sisters looked a lot alike, but there were like slight differences, and especially like talking about how like her face was a little fuller, and like they talked about her sister being a little fuller. So I thought in some weird twisted way they switched and she was like in her sister's
Yes.
spot. But then
Yeah, I thought it was going to be some weird switcheroo between the three of them.
Yeah.
I was looking at my text to Alanis where I sent her so many of my things. I said I can't figure out who has the time to be watching Pip so closely. Like, to know her movements. Because, like, once we find out it's Elliot Ward, it makes a little more sense because, like, her movements could have been reported to him, like, from his kid, seeing her in school, like, things like that.
Yeah.
But then, Becca, I'm still like, how did you...
She's a reporter. I mean, you find stuff out.
Yeah, but, like, to know such minute details as to, like, have the time to just go be in the woods by the club and be like, go out to the woods.
Yeah.
Okay, you're there. Start beating all your crap. You know, and, like you have a job.
Right.
At that point, I was so worried. I hadn't had this theory. Like, I think I thought of it at the beginning, but then quickly scratched it. But then when she talked about the house key, like somebody getting into her house and finding the spare house
Oh my
key,
God,
I
yeah.
was so worried for a minute that it was Robbie.
I
Because they
said
had
that
just,
too.
Because they had just went to another house, or to Becca's house,
Yeah.
and found the spare key. So I was like, of course he'd know that they had a spare key because she said that they had a spare key. I was like, that's the only person that I can think of who would do that. Is it Robbie this whole time? Did Robbie kill Sal? Blah, 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 blah. But then I quickly was like, that doesn't make sense.
That was the one person I did not at all guess
Yeah.
would be in it at all. Just because of his brother. Like, I didn't think that it would have made any sense, really.
The only way it made sense was like the closeness of it, like the personable, like
That's what I
like, all of,
said.
like the
I said part
that
of
was
me,
it.
I said part of me was switched to Robbie for a minute because he was one of the only parties who would know her whereabouts so closely.
Right.
But I was like, that doesn't make sense. My only other, so I told you my two main suspicions. The one was that Andy was not dead. Wrong. And then the other one was that Becca was involved. Either Becca had killed Sal or Becca had killed Andy. Because if in the reality that I wanted to believe Andy was alive, then I thought maybe Becca killed Sal to cover for Andy and was hoping that Andy could get away.
Yeah.
You know? Or in the reality that Andy is dead, that Becca killed Andy. Because there was just too much animosity between the siblings. And, like, the house was such a chaotic and, like, unwelcoming environment that I was like, easily turmoil.
And the way that Becca didn't want to talk about it.
Yeah.
And originally, like, I played it off because I was like, well, it's her sister. Like I get it. Like, if you don't want to talk about it, but also,
Sure.
and then we got so much more information that I literally, like, I love the way that the author does that, to where we got that little nugget of like, Becca doesn't want to talk about it. That's weird. But then she unloads so much more information about the case that I forgot.
You
about
forget about Becca.
I forgot about him and Mr. Ward. Like, there were a couple
Yeah.
of suspicious things about him too, but I completely forgot about it
Well,
because
and
we
they
were
were so
loaded
good
on.
at deflecting. Like, and
Yeah.
like when she confronted him and was like, "Oh my gosh, what about this thing that happened?" And he was like, "Oh, I de-escalated it. It's not a big deal. I
Yeah.
just reported it. She's okay. Like, she was okay at the time." And I'm like, "Dude, you're such a good liar."
Yeah.
And then when they said that Naomi had her dad's old, like, minute phone, I was like, why did dad have
That's
an
parts
old
like
minute
that
phone?
when I caught on to some stuff like that, and I'm like, why don't you know yet? Why can't you just figure this out yet?
Yeah.
It made me so anxious. I texted Alanis when Barney was taken. I texted Alanis. I want to read exactly what I said. I said in all caps, "They took the effing dog. That's legally uncool as fuck."
Literally.
She said so uncool. I said, "Free my dude Barney. He ain't do anything."
He didn't do nothing.
I was so mad. And then she took all her stuff out there and beat the tar out of it. And I was pissed. And I was like, I know she has to have a backup somewhere
Yeah.
because, like, she's not throwing this whole thing away. But, like, you just, like, tore up all your stuff. Laptops are expensive.
I was so worried for a hot minute that she didn't, because I remember she specifically said, I don't have time to think, I just do it. I grab all my stuff, and like, I put a note in there saying, please tell me that these are either fakes or that you saved everything else somewhere else. You're not the stupid. I know that you're not the stupid. And then she destroys everything, and I get so worried for a hot minute that she doesn't have any backups, especially when Robbie comes and she's like, forget it, like, it's over, blah, blah, blah. But then she's just so casually was just like, no, I have more copies. And
She's
then
like, "I'm not that
I
dumb."
emailed everything to myself, and I was like, thank God.
Thank
God.
literally,
Yeah.
thank
Because
God.
I was worried for a hot minute.
I'm glad that you think one step ahead. That whole scene too was when Robbie came and like tried to comfort her, and she was like trying to kick him out. I was so glad that he saw right through her
Me
BS.
too.
Because I was like, I can't do
I
this.
loved that.
I cannot do this right now.
No.
You cannot.
It was
be kicking
giving
him
third act
out.
breakup.
Yes.
I'm not
Yeah.
in the
And
place
I'm so
for
glad
it.
he was like,
Uh-uh.
actually, no.
Yeah.
And no.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, thank God. My heart literally cannot handle this.
Yeah.
No, literally.
I am having like an aneurysm trying to figure out all of this stuff and what to do with all of this information and all the things with the dog. I'm worried that this dog's gonna be dead, and you're trying to break up with this guy.
Uh-huh.
That's not on worry right now, babe.
I'm actually
No.
not a major concern. I was so irritated.
Yeah.
Oh my God. And then, so whenever they went to the inn, and the old lady was like, oh yeah, I just saw her here a few weeks ago. I was like, because obviously Pip was like, no, like, she's dead.
Right.
Like, no worries. And she didn't even, like, give second thought to that. And I'm sure that that's why it was written that way.
Yeah.
Like, Pip didn't give second thought to it, so you think, like, oh, I should give second thought to it. I should give second thought to
Yeah.
it.
That's another main reason I thought Andy was still alive, because as soon as he said that, I was like, oh, but then I was like, wait, does she have like dementia or something? And then they talked about she has Alzheimer's, but then I was like, well, why would they put that in there though? Why would they say
Right.
that? Especially if the old lady was so sure, like, sure she has Alzheimer's, but like, if she was so sure, like, I could have sworn I just saw her.
Yeah.
So I was like, that's weird that they put that in there.
That would, like, whole thing was crazy, though, with, like, Max finding the photo of her that was clearly in that room, and they were staying there, but then Max wasn't the person that was staying there. The reason it was found at the school was because it was in Elliot's classroom, and Elliot was going, and I just, the whole thing made me so angry, because I understand that, like, people you know and people that you think are good and fine and normal can be bad people. And so I think had multiple things. Had Elliot been sleeping with Andy and then something crazy happened and he ended up killing Andy, right, and like had to like hide her, right, that is something that I could have been like, choice, consequence, action, circumstance, like, okay, this is why this happened.
Right.
That sucks. But the fact that he went and killed Sal,
Yeah.
who was a completely innocent party in this whole situation, just made me so angry. It made me so violently
The sad
angry.
part about all of it is it probably would have been just like that if Pippa never looked into any of it. He would
Right.
have gotten away with everything that he did.
And
Yeah.
the fact that he killed Sal before he knew that Andy was like, because he assumed Andy was dead, like, or that
Right,
Andy was gone.
right.
But then after he had already killed Sal, he like found Andy. But like obviously it wasn't Andy. But like the fact
Right.
that he was so quick to be like, I gotta kill somebody else. I gotta kill somebody to make it
gotta
look
pin it
like
on somebody
I
else,
gotta pin it
yeah.
on somebody else. Yeah.
And
And like there was no real hardcore evidence for Ward, for anybody to be suspicious of Ward
no,
anyways. So like
no.
people would have gone to Sal first. And like sure he had
Naturally.
an alibi.
It's usually, the
And-
boyfriend did it.
Yeah, and like, I
Naturally,
know,
like,
like,
really.
Yeah.
Elliot was worried because he didn't really have a clear alibi, but like, I feel like it'd be so much easier to make up something than to literally go out and kill one of your students who is literally innocent.
Yeah. And then that makes me violently angry. But then on top of it, we're going to defame his character even more because he literally slept with an underage student.
Yeah.
Oh. Oh. So, like, because he said, like, she started, like, there were advances and he was trying to, like, put them off. And then finally, like, he caved. And then after the first time, like, she got weird and he didn't want to do it anymore. But she was freaking him out. And so he did it again. And it's like,
Brother, you shouldn't have gotten her number.
why
should
did
not
you
have
literally
talked to her in the first place.
Literally,
Yeah.
why did you
Yeah.
take her cell phone number in the first place? You're like you're a pedophile.
Yeah.
Now you're also like, not only are you an absolute maniac murderer, you're also a pedo.
Yeah. Also, Andy, hey, maybe like try to get into college.
Yeah.
Try to do your work. Try not to be a bully to everybody instead of like thinking,
A bully
let
and
me
a drug
just
dealer."
let me just sleep with a teacher that I don't even have, and see if he'll like get me into college. That's a bogus plan, my guy. Like,
Yeah.
maybe, like, try to, like, I understand home life is rough, and she was like, I need to, like, go with Sal, and I need to get out of this house. But, like, if you really wanted to get out of that house, like, do your work, and, like, try to get into college.
It's crazy, like, when she comes home, and then she's, like, having the interaction with Becca, and, like, they get in the argument, and I'm like, you are bleeding out.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you have blood coming from your skull, and you and your sister are fighting.
Yeah, like, she's not even, like, sympathizing at all.
No. And Becca, like, what? She pushed her, and then she fell,
Mm-hmm.
Uh-huh.
and then...
And she started throwing up.
Oh,
And she
right, and
aspirated
Well,
she
she
then
passed,
vomit,
she passed out, and then she started throwing up, and then Becca just stood there and was like,
Yeah, when she aspirated.
yeah.
I just found this. I don't even remember this. This is when she first realizes that someone broke into the house because she opens up her computer, and then she says below her final words, someone had typed, "You need to stop this, Pippa," over and over again hundreds of times, enough to fill 4 pages. I highlighted, "You need to stop this, Pippa," and my note just says, Becca. I knew...
I think that one was,
No, the printed ones were Ward.
This was the person who broke into the
right,
house
right.
and got on the computer, so that
Yeah.
was Becca.
Right.
How did I know that?
It's a really good question.
I don't remember being that sure of it that early, but clearly in the moment I was.
Yeah.
That's, hey, go me.
you. Yeah.
That's nifty. I don't remember being certain of it,
Yeah.
but apparently I was certain enough to just, my note just said Becca.
Yeah.
That's nifty.
Huh.
I'll give myself that.
But yeah, there were a lot of people, like, messed up in this, especially Max. And, like,
Max
the way
sucks.
that he lied so easily at the beginning.
Who was it? No, it wasn't Max. It was some random guy. At the party when she went outside and she was like, "Oh yes, could we maybe smoke a de ganja?
No, that was
smoke a
said-
fat doob." And I was like, Pippa, I beg of you, in the most intimate way, to please shut up. Please stop doing that. She was like, "Oh yeah, the devil's lettuce, the ganja." I was like,
What chapter was this?
the way this guy wasn't like...
Schwagrass. I said,
"That's awful."
she said, "You know I'm looking to blast a roach." And I said, "This would be me for sure."
"Hello, buddy,
I'd
I'm
say-
looking to blast a roach."
I'd be like, "Yeah, any Schwagrass?"
I hated it. She was like, "I looked up so many names for it on Urban Dictionary." I was like, I want you to be quiet right now.
You know I'm looking to blast a roach.
But then that guy was an absolute freak
Yeah.
and a creep.
Handsy.
I was like, "Girl, you almost got literally molested.
Yeah.
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 And for what?"
For what?
Oh my god. For Howie's phone number, I guess. Investigative journalism at its finest, ladies and
Yeah.
gentlemen. God, that stressed me out so bad.
But yeah, Max sucks. Like, sure they all
Yeah,
like got
that
like
wasn't
with
Max.
the accident stuff. Like, yeah, you shouldn't have let him drive. But also, he was the one that was like, "Yeah, guys, I'm good. And 2, he's the one who was driving, and like
Yeah.
even the others, like they confessed that like
Oh my
that
God,
guy
that's
didn't
right,
walk
the
in.
accident.
Yeah, they were like, that guy didn't, because Max was like, that guy walked in the road. He was a maniac. But then his friends were like, no, he was on the side of the road. Like,
You swerved into the
swerved.
shoulder.
He
Yeah.
was drunk.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Just like that all the way down to, and I was flabbergasted at the fact that the friends were so easy to turn on Sal
Yeah.
and lie, which like I understand, like this is a huge thing and you guys will go to prison if this comes out that you guys were in like the car accident, whatever.
Right.
But is it, and like I know Naomi at the time was like, we didn't think that he would die, like we didn't think, like we thought maybe like they would just suspect him, but like nothing would come of it because we knew he was innocent. But still, that big of a risk to like for
That
your
was
friend to
insane.
possibly go to jail, but then for him to have died because of
No.
that, like
I know it's a hard
can't.
situation because they were in a really, really tough
Yeah.
spot. And, like, I know, and you see it from her, like, she felt horrible
Yeah. She
did.
when he died
Mhm.
because she was like, I did not think that would happen, and
Yeah.
especially when they painted it as him killing himself.
Yeah.
And she was like, "Oh my god, like what did we do?"
Yeah.
And it is hard because that is something that they would go to prison for a very long time.
I think the only way that any of them, not Max, any of the rest of them, could have gotten out of doing jail time would have been had they reported it immediately themselves.
Yeah.
Like, had Naomi gotten home, immediately
Yeah.
told her dad, they reported it, and they were like, she was drunk and thought her friend was sober, but she was too drunk to be able to validate his sobriety, and she didn't have the wherewithal to call the cops in the moment, but as soon
Yeah.
as she got home, she informed me, and we're like, you know what I mean? Like, you can probably get
Yeah.
leniency for something like that, but she would have had to have turned against literally all of her
Yeah.
other friends.
Yeah.
Like,
But even then, she still could have gotten charged for manslaughter because she wasn't the active.
the guy didn't end up dying though.
yeah, he didn't die.
He was just a paraplegic, which is
paralyzed.
still sucks. But
it takes away
it takes
manslaughter.
away manslaughter. Yeah.
True.
Yeah. It's still, what is that, reckless endangerment?
Yeah, and she was also underage. And
Yeah. There's lots of things. But
Yeah.
A lot of factors.
I struggle with, like, Max was regularly roofing friends
Yeah.
and taking advantage of women, and, like, none of your friends knew? Like, Naomi
And
didn't
Andy
know?
was chill with it.
Like, Naomi was still hanging out with Max.
Yeah, she was.
Yeah.
Did she know that?
No, but that's what I'm saying. Like, how do you not know
Yeah.
I
that
think
your friend is a serial
probably because they were
roofier?
also all drunk at the parties,
Yeah.
so they just didn't like pay attention.
And the only person that would have known was Andy, and
Andy
we all know
didn't
Andy
care about
cared-
anyone but
yeah,
herself.
Yeah, literally.
Yeah.
Dang. Yeah, there was a lot of stuff that got revealed that wasn't even like
Messy.
in the case. Like some dark stuff that these people in this town like.
I was
did.
gonna say, can you imagine living in a town that messy? And then I remembered our conversation from 50 minutes ago, and so I'll keep my own mouth shut.
Yeah.
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 I guess small towns can be messy.
They can
They can be messy. For
I feel
sure.
like maybe they can be more messy because you
Right,
know people
yeah.
very
Sure.
well.
Sure.
Yeah.
You know,
Sure.
you can recognize
Right.
people around.
I just put tea in my mouth. Right.
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 Isn't it funny we're sipping tea?
So
So
true, bestie.
the tea.
That's just,
That's what the tea is.
it makes you think, doesn't it?
Oh
Yeah.
my god, it's too close to home.
Don't it? God.
Oh, but
Shout out to small towns.
yeah,
Small town representation.
Right.
In the second book, you get
Good girl, bad blood.
mhm,
I couldn't
you
remember
get
that.
info on Max's trial.
Mm.
So he goes through a trial through the whole book
What is he charged for?
The
for
killing
roofing people.
For the roofing?
and the rape.
They explain
Counts as
that he
On
can't. They
Becca?
can't because it's so old. They can't really like. They can't charge him with like raping because I guess they couldn't prove something or other.
It was only
But,
Even though he
Years
literally
old.
confessed it.
but
was 5 years
and they can't accept that as evidence because it wasn't taken properly.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
It's
like
a he said,
court
she
has to be
said,
like,
it's not,
yes.
yeah.
Because I know it's a recording, but they can't accept it if it's just like,
Because they're legally
Yeah.
recording other people, and yeah.
yeah.
Dang.
And then it was something like, but he couldn't have had. There was some. They explained it. There's like a clause that he like can get charged with, and so
Yeah.
that's what they're charging him with
Right.
the trial. I have to look back at it. It was
Gotcha.
very very specific.
Yeah.
Or
I
if you
watch
read
Law
it-
and Order. I get the vibes.
Mhm.
Yep. Yeah, no, it goes over that, and then some other things that happen that didn't get wrapped up,
Yeah.
like the reporter. And,
Oh, slay.
yeah, all that stuff does get explained in the second book.
I want to
Isn't
know.
there a third one coming out?
The third one's been out, but
Oh,
it's
it's
just
not?
it's just a trilogy. So then
Oh,
she's done
okay.
with that.
Do they talk about Stanley at all? Because I want to know why he hated. Was he just racist? Like, why did he hate on Sal so much?
Stanley is a big guy because he's the reporter that she saw.
Yeah, but like, why was he so?
I think he was
He's
just
in-
racist.
He's
Yeah,
in the next book.
is he? That's what
He's
I was
like
asking because
very
they.
big character in the next
Okay,
book.
because they
Yeah.
hardly touched on him in this one, and he was very suspicious off the back, like very hardcore believer that Sal was guilty, and then also the fact that he and Becca
And also
were together.
begs the question of like, what did he know because he was dating Becca?
Right.
Yeah.
Was he just doing all that because he knew and trying to like get her to
Yeah.
stop the case for Becca's sake? I don't know, man.
Yeah, the second one didn't keep me on my toes as much as the first one did, but it was still a very good read. I still really did enjoy it.
Yeah.
Good twists and turns. And I like that it was like separate from like the first
Yeah.
Like, the first book had its own case, the second book has its own case. Like it's not like bleeding into
Yeah.
Yeah.
that.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That is cool.
Some crazy stuff happens.
Oh, crazy.
Also, craziest thing about it is that it still happens in her senior year. It's like the spring of her senior year. So she's not even graduated.
That's crazy.
Because this
That's
is like the
actually
first half of her senior year.
Yeah.
Right, that was literally what, from like August to December?
Yep.
That's wild.
Or not even December. I guess the time jump at the
Yeah,
end.
no, I think it was.
Because they were
like
talking about the fall festival.
Yeah, and then this takes place with like the winter to spring.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's wild.
Yeah.
Poor thing was
Yeah.
busy.
She was busy.
No wonder her mother was concerned.
Yeah.
Her mother's even more concerned. In
I
the
love
next
her
book.
dad.
I love her dad.
Her dad's so good.
I
Yeah.
would die for her dad.
And little Joshua.
He's.
So cute.
I love them.
I love their family.
I love
So
them.
sweet.
They were the only good thing about that book. They were the only good people.
No,
Well, and like
like
Sal
Robbie.
and his family. Yeah, and Robbie.
Yeah.
Robbie. I love Robbie.
I loved like the families coming together at the end.
Yes.
Like they
yes.
showed up with like flowers and food, and they were like, "We're family now.
Yeah.
Come on."
Yeah.
I love how like
ugh.
comforting Robbie it was to her, and it was so
Oh.
clear that they were like so cute together. And at the end, when he kissed her,
Mm-hmm.
that was so cute.
So cute.
So cute.
I really did love that. I had
Yeah.
that up.
Yeah.
And the whole time I was like, this is a slow burn, and then I was like, no, it's YA.
Not everything is a
It's
slow.
YA, Hannah. It's YA. I was like, oh, the slow burn of them getting together. It's YA. Nothing's gonna happen.
They literally don't do anything
Yeah.
together.
And then
they kiss
No.
he like touches her face at one part, and I was like, oh my god, the burn is so slow. And then I was like, they're 17. She's 17. It's a YA. It was YA. Nothing's happening. Nothing's happening.
That's me, like with any book I read.
Any
I'm like,
book.
oh, they're enemies to lovers, and then like they're just enemies. They're
Literally.
just enemies.
Like someone can murder someone else, and I'm like, enemies to lovers?
Enemies to lovers.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
It's
It's bad.
it's rough.
bad.
It's rough. God, I really did like this book though.
Yeah,
I
me
liked
too.
it far more than I expected. I'll definitely watch the show,
Yeah.
but I don't know
feel
how I
better.
feel. Yeah, fuck.
I love it.
This is awful.
Strings.
The strings.
I rated it 5 stars.
I also rated 5 stars.
I think I gave it 4.
Fair.
Okay.
It just like it was a good book.
Right. It was.
There was nothing like stand out about it to me
right.
to like
Right.
make it a 5-star book.
Yeah.
I haven't rated anything 5 stars in a while though. So
We did just
I-
summer 5 stars.
I did. Dude, in the moment I go crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's definitely a 4-star book. In the moment I be losing my mind.
That was
I
not a
can't remember.
4-star book. That's totally a 5 for me.
No, see, I think here's my problem is I just started watching this girl on YouTube who like does like book ratings and talks about the books she reads, and I really like her. And she did a video where she went back and she got all of her 5-star books from like her Goodreads, her Storygraph, and she has like her own like Excel spreadsheet that she inputs everything in, and she got all of her 5-star books off of it and then tier listed them. And she was like, some of these were definitely just emotional ratings. And I was like, I do that. Like if you go back and look at like First Lie Wins. First Lie Wins was great. So I think it was a 5-star book that like stands the test of time and like 5-star. Like this is a perfect, for all intents and purposes, this was a perfect book.
So maybe it
A 10 out of 10? No.
Yeah.
For
No.
me it was.
wasn't a perfect
I rated
book.
it 4 stars at the time. But,
It's a good 4. I'd give it 4.
but I'm definitely an emotional, like,
Absolutely.
for sure. Like, I've rated all of the Throne of Glass books 5 out of 5.
No.
Even though the first Throne of Glass book, definitely
See, I did the
doesn't-
first one a 4, the second one a 5.
It could be a 4,
the next
yeah.
one.
You can't
remains
give all
to
of
be
Throne
seen.
of Glass 5 stars if you didn't even give all of ACOTAR 5 stars.
I did.
You rated every
rated
ACOTAR
every-
book 5 stars?
Well, actually, first book, probably 4.
Haley
First
Lynn.
one's probably 4.
Haley Lynn.
I think, so, like, for sure, Akamov, for sure 5 out of 5. Akawar,
Right.
for sure 5 out of 5. Frostlands are like a 4. Silver Flames, 6 out of 5. Like, for sure.
Okay.
But like I said, I'm an emotional rater.
Yeah.
I don't rate off of, like, storyline, plot.
She said, screw the
Character
plot,
development.
screw the development.
I rate it off of,
How
did
did I
it,
feel about
She said
How did I
absolute
feel?
vibes at the end.
how did I feel? Did I cry? Was I aroused? Would I reread it again? Would I read it again?
That's
If I would read it again, I'm gonna rate it 5 out of 5.
Haley, you know you have to cut this into like a whole thing of just you counting off everything
Yeah,
that is your
yeah,
criteria.
yeah. Exactly, yeah.
Haley's criteria
My
for a
criteria
great
for
book,
5
a 5 out of 5.
That's wild.
if I have an attachment to one or more characters, if I cried, if I was aroused, if I would read it again. 5 out of 5.
That's crazy. That's, like I said, does it stand the test of time? Is it a perfect book? Haley said, did I get tingly? Did I giggle and kick my little peats? It's a 5 to me. That's
But see, I saw something on
that's also the
TikTok.
problem with rating right after you finish a book. Is
Yeah.
you're like, ah!
Yeah, I saw somebody on TikTok say the same thing. They were like, "I'm not a smart reader. I'm not looking for plot.
Oh my god,
I'm not
you
looking
don't
for."
have to be.
And I was like, "Me either." Girl. Like, sure, I'll notice. I'll be like, "Maybe that was a plot hole," or like, I'll be like, "Oh,
Sure.
maybe I don't like that." But then I'll be like, "Oh, but they're so handsome."
Yes.
Oh, but they're meant to be together.
Oh, but he said who hurt you.
But he said, "Who hurt you?" But
But he said my wife.
But she stood on the mountain in a sword in triumph and
Who
won the
am,
war.
who am I to downgrade that?
Who am I to downgrade that?
Who am I to lessen their great achievements? It's 5 stars.
Exactly. It's 5
Don't
out of
look
5.
at me like that.
No.
Don't look at me like that.
Period.
Did you see how beautiful she was? Don't talk to
Did
me.
you see how cool she was?
Don't talk to me. Did you see what she did with that sword? Don't
Yeah.
speak to me anymore.
Don't talk.
See, I don't think a book is perfect.
No, I don't think
And I
so
know I
either.
said, oh, this is the perfect book. I mean, there is never really going to be like a perfect book.
And it's so personal.
Perfect book. Yeah.
Mhm.
So,
I have
like
the
when I'm
perfect
reading
book.
stuff like this, like I think what would be the closest to me, like, I don't know, did I enjoy it?
Mhm.
Did I have a really good time while I read it? Did I have any issues with it?
Mhm.
And then I picked things out that like stood out to me. So like
Yeah.
this, like I literally listed in the very beginning things that I loved about this book,
Yeah.
and that's exactly why I gave it a 5.
Yeah.
And like, I didn't really have any cons to give you, like things I didn't like.
Mhm.
But when we're talking about the Throne of Glass, the first book, like I have things to tell you. I don't like this about the book. I don't like this about the book. But I do really like these parts.
Yeah.
4 out of 5.
I think there's a difference. Like, I think I could say I think this was excellent for a YA novel. It's just hard then to rate it because YA is not my preferred genre. So for me, I would never read this again. Like, it's honestly, in the scale of every book I've ever read, this is probably like a 3.5 for me. I think it's great. I would recommend it. I think it was really good. Well done work. But it's not my perfect book, I
Right.
guess. So I guess that's where like the emotional rating
Yeah.
scale comes in.
And it's
because
hard.
it's so personal.
And it's hard for me to rate, like, specifically, like, with series, like, Throne of Glass, Crescent City, ACOTAR. It's hard for me to rate them individually because whenever I've read the whole series, and I haven't read the whole series of Throne of Glass, but I've read enough. I've read over half of it. So I've read enough to, like, think of it as a whole. So I don't think about it in pieces. I think about it as, like, the whole story. And the whole story I see is, like, a 5 out of 5. Like, the whole story of ACOTAR,
Yeah.
though the first book was, like, a little hard to get into, the whole thing,
The
like,
entirety
the whole
of
piece,
it, yeah.
5 out of 5. Beautiful, gorgeous.
I
Loved
get
it.
that.
See, I try
Yeah,
to keep
same
it
with
away
Glass.
from like my own biases within like a genre specifically because there are like, I didn't really like reading romance for a little while.
Mm-hmm.
And then I started reading them, and I was like, okay, these are enjoyable, and I will rate them well because I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
And then also, like, I don't read much YA. Like, this is very few and far between.
Yeah.
Sure.
But I really enjoyed it, and it was
Yeah.
very nice. Is this a genre I would normally read? No, probably not.
Mm-mm.
But I feel like I give it, like, a fair rating in an unbiased manner of like, the genre.
Sure.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But see, I do that even with my favorite. Like, obviously, like, I am a diehard romance girly through and through till I die. And I still, like, I'll read a romance book that I just absolutely loved and I ate up, right? Like, I just read The Au Pair Affair by Tessa Bailey.
Mm-hmm.
I love that book. I love everything Tessa Bailey writes. I praise that woman. I love her to death. The book was incredible. And still at the end of it, I was like, it's cheesy. I think maybe it's like my own internalized biases of like, because I'm very much on the, like, especially like the side of TikTok and like book groups and things like that are like, I'm not a smart reader. I'm reading what makes me giggle and kick my feet. I'm reading what makes me happy and what brings me joy, and I don't care.
Yeah.
I'm very much on that. But I think it's honestly like my own internal biases towards like, this isn't literary fiction. This is not a literary work of art.
No.
And so like I read these like great romance books that I just love, and I loved The Au Pair Affair, and I still couldn't get myself to give it 5 stars at the end. Like I still gave it 4 because I was like, it's just silly romance.
That was me with By
Do you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
it's like my own.
That was me with By a Thread. I gave By a Thread 4 stars. Like, I almost gave it 5 stars because I was like kicking my feet, giggling, haha. Like, the romance was like so crazy. The slow burn was like amazing. Like, I loved it. But then I was like, no, it's a 4 stars because of like little aspects of it that I was like, I hated how long it was.
It was so
And I
long.
hated how it dragged in some spots. Like, some parts was just fluff. Dragging.
Yes.
Taking too long.
It's like so much extra crap that you're like, I get it. It's
Yeah.
fine. Move on.
Yeah. So
Like that's where you start skimming and you're
yeah.
like,
And then I felt the end was like very quick. Of like,
it was.
quick. Which, like, so glad it was a happy ending. But also, like, it was wrapped up
You
very
tied up
quickly.
them ends real quickly.
Yeah.
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 You know, I agree.
Well, we are some yappers.
We're some
aren't we?
yappers.
Don't we be?
Anyways,
That was fun, ladies. It's good to be back on the couch.
it is.
Yeah.
It's good to be mic'd up back on the couch. This was very nice. Next week, we're not doing a book. Next week we'll be yapping.
Mm-hmm.
Except I'll be yapping. Right?
We'll probably still be talking about a book, though.
Yeah, no. We'll definitely be
Yeah, we'll
book
talk about-
yapping.
Yeah.
And
it won't be as long of a video.
yeah. Listen, I'll be here, 4 less teeth, doing my best.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll love to have you.
And you can try to hit me if I try to use a straw.
Yeah.
It's going to be really hard.
Literally splash water on you.
Get a spray bottle.
Yeah.
Wait, no, that's so good.
Like we do with tuna.
Yeah.
Literally. God, I'm not looking forward to this.
You're going to be so brave.
I am. I'm pretty brave.
You're going to be
so-
way brave.
I'm pretty brave. so-
At least you'll be put under,
yeah.
and you won't have to see any of it.
And the
Or hear any
migraines
of
will
it.
stop.
Yes.
Literally just in the middle
Yeah.
of talking, I felt like the like nerve, the way it like shoots up the back of my head. I was like,
Yep.
oh, there it is. I need
I'm
to take
telling
my
you, it
meds
makes
again.
a world of a difference.
I'm ready.
Yeah.
I'm ready for it to be done. Guys,
Anyways.
thanks so much for hanging out.
Mm-hmm.
It's so nice to be back.
It is.
We will get, by the time you're watching this, we should have an infographic thing up with the next couple books we're going to be reading. So if you want to follow along, we would love that. We would love for you to join us on our reading journey. These next few books we're reading, I'm really excited about. I
Yeah.
think they're going to be super good. Yeah. I think that's all. I don't have any
think
other
that's it.
updates.
Follow us.
Yeah.
Oh my god, yeah.
Subscribe.
All the links.
Follow, like, subscribe.
We love y'all. And we will see you next week.
Yeah.